Okay, continue on to your topic 5 for your sanitation and sewerage. So in this topic, you'll be covering the sanitary terminology and fundamental, indoor sanitary system, and external sewerage system. So this indoor sanitary system is what is covered in your WC lah, washroom, basin. You know a bit of it, and then you cover the what sort of piping system will be installed. And finally, the external sewage system is the sewage treatment plant. So first of all, before you go into any system being indoor or outdoor, you need to learn a bit of the terminology and the fundamental of what the terms are in sewerage. So this lecture info, the notes all is extracted from this tool, which is your core reading list. And if you want to learn more additional, you can always look towards these 3 books. So by the end of this session or this topic, you'll be able to demonstrate the principle behind the design procedure of various building services and technology lah. So here in this topic, which is sanitation and sewage, you only have one type of calculation, and this will be your final calculation lah for this subject. Then for your last topic 6, you will not have any more calculation. So there's only one calculation for this topic, and this will be the last calculation for the entire course lah. So you won't encounter anymore. Okay, so first of all, you need to learn about the terminology of sanitary. So there is a few terminology that you have to be familiar with. The first is your sewerage. So sewerage is any liquid which is dirty lah. So any liquid that contain animal or vegetable matter in suspension. So any liquid from animal is sewerage. So we are included as animal. So this sewerage, we have to find ways to treat it. And sewage. So besides sewerage, we are actually producing a lot of wastewater. So wastewater is divided into 2 types. One is sewerage, which needs to be treated before you discharge. Another one is sewage. So sewage is not so dirty, although it is still dirty water, but we won't have any problem discharging it out into, let's say, our outer drainage. So sewage, you will find that sometimes they are being discharged straight to the outer drain. So if you live in a landed house, you can try to go and find out where your kitchen waste is being discharged. So sometimes you won't be able to see it because your drainage is usually covered, but in some houses you'll be able to find out that the kitchen waste is actually being discharged directly out to your outer perimeter drainage. So sewage is any wastewater that is not fecal matter or urine. So this is the 2 waste material that will be generating in our house. So next, when we go to industrial scale, we have our trade waste. So any liquid from the process of manufacture and cleaning, this is all trade waste. So these waste have to be treated also lah. So if you don't treat and we just discharge it out into the river, then you have a case of contamination and then we have water cut. So when we go towards commercial purpose, where we are generating waste in a very, very large amount, this is called a trade waste. So commercial purpose, we cannot just directly discharge the water, the dirty water into the drainage or the river. So if you discharge it into the drainage, usually this drainage will lead to the river. So when you do that, and then usually you contaminate the river, and then you cause a water cut lah, where the government will have to go and find out who is polluting the river. And once they find out who is polluting the river, then you receive a fine lah. So for commercial purpose, any waste discharge will be a trade waste. So the this is because of the quantity of the liquid. Because you are doing work, you won't be just discharging a very small amount, but instead you'll be discharging a very, very high quantity of waste. So this will contaminate the river lah. And also because this liquid contain a lot of chemical in it. So when it contain a lot of chemical, it will be very, very harmful, and it will actually take a very long time for this waste to decompose. Okay, so next is your sewerage. So your sewerage is just a system lah of piping to connect from your house or from your office or from any building to the sewage treatment plant. Then you have your manhole. I believe everyone is very familiar with it in Malaysia. If you see on the road, sometimes our manhole is lower than our road level, or sometimes the manhole is higher than our road level, which I always find is inconvenient lah. So you always find the manhole is located quite in the middle of our road. And then we have our sludge. So this is what is formed from the disposition of solid after the wastewater is being treated. And finally, we have our final effluent. So this is just a few terminology lah that we need to know about in sanitary in wastewater. So final effluent, this is a word for discharge. So effluent is discharge. So the final discharge is, here is also mentioned, is from the sewage treatment. So a bit of additional info apart from the commit that I just briefed you guys. So although waste is 99.9% water, it includes material that are damaging to health and environment unless it is treated. So that's why treating waste is very important, because this wastewater, it includes material usually is waste, bacteria, which is harmful to us. So we are actually using bacteria to clean up this wastewater lah. So usually this wastewater is very damaging to our health and environment. So that's why it's a waste lah. Okay, so sanitary work is actually divided into three categories, which is collection, treatment, and disposal. So collection starts off in our house or in the office, usually in your WC. And then with that, you have a collection of pipe, which will divert all the waste to your sewage treatment plant. So it is at your sewage treatment plant where this wastewater is treated, and then once it's treated, you will have two end product. So one is a clean water, another one is your sludge. So you have to dispose of these two end product. So usually you just dispose of your final effluent, which is your water, into river or sea, or usually is to your drainage. So your drainage usually leads to the river. If you were to be in a city usually all this drainage it will be directed to the river, and then you will have your sludge. So we actually dispose of our sludge as a fertilizer. We can sell it for money. So this is the disposal. So this is a process of how the sanitary work is going through. So you have your sanitary appliances, which is your WC, going through your piping, and then you in terms go to a bigger piping. So there will be a lot of pipe to divert all our waste into the sewage treatment plant. And then once we are done, we are to discharge the clean water, which is the final effluent, to the river. So there's a lot of law regulating sanitary and sewage. So in Malaysia, IWK is the one who control the sewage treatment plant in Malaysia. So this external sewage system is provided by IWK So it's actually operated by IWK Okay, so in Malaysia, usually this is just for your extra information based on my working experience to let you guys know. So in Malaysia, what this one says is true. So IWK, which is Indah Water Consortium, do operate the external sewage system. But just so you guys are aware of it it won't come out in your exam. But just so you guys are aware of it, so all this sewage treatment plant is actually being built by the developer. So this is based on my working experience So why do I say so? The sewage treatment plant is being built by the developer. So government is not going to, if it's possible, government usually do not want to spend money on all this. They will want to try to put the burden onto the public. So this is one of the way. This has been the norm that it's actually the developer who built the sewage treatment for the IWK. So the developer will build the sewage treatment plant, and then once it's built, or once they commission someone to build, once this is completed, they will just pass over the operation to the IWK So IWK actually do not build it; they actually just operate the sewage treatment plant. So where does this cost come about? So let's say you're buying a condo, or let's say you're buying a house. So usually, if you were to buy a condo, you'll be able to see that in a condo, there will be a lot of unit. So when you are actually buying a condo, you're actually not just paying for that unit. So this unit that you are paying for, actually, it also included your road within your condo, or maybe some other deal with the government or the local authority, local council. And also this also include the sewage treatment plant, which is actually located far away from your condo. So if you were to buy a condo unit, it's not only you're buying that particular space And then for this is example in a condo So in a house, if you are saying in a landed house, so you actually have a lot of houses. So the idea is still the same. You are not only paying for that particular house, you are actually still paying for the road in your, let's say, particular your gated community, and also your sewage treatment plant. So IWK do not actually build the sewage treatment plant for free We are actually paying for it when we buy our house. And our house is also included our house but also included the road in your area, and also your piping and sewage treatment plant. Okay, so this is the idea behind sanitary. So next is your act and regulation. So you have our UBBL, which is the Uniform Building Bylaw, and then any local regulation by the local council, and you have our act and regulation to ensure that the sewage treatment plant is being designed according to spec. So usually we will follow the sewage system guideline lah by IWK. So IWK will specify how clean the water needs to be, and this needs to be followed lah. And based on based on the population or how much the discharge of the waste is, they will also specify what sort of system the sewage treatment need to be built. But this is more complex lah, which we won't go towards. But just know that IWK and there's already the very detailed guideline on how to build a sewage treatment system. Okay, so let's continue a while more, and then we will have a quick break lah. So we have our indoor sanitary system, which is our basin WC. So in our indoor sanitary discharge pipe, so this is related to your assignment lah. So there's actually 4 types of pipe being used indoor. The first is your soil pipe, which is used to convey the human waste. Usually is our fecal matter and urinal. So the sanitary appliances is WC or urinal. And then we have our waste pipe. So this is to convey any waterbound discharge from our sink, bath, shower, wash basin, and bidet. So we can have 2 types of pipe for our discharge. One is the soil pipe for only human discharge. Another is the waste pipe for any waterbound discharge from sink, bath, shower, wash basin, or bidet. And then next, we have our ventilation pipe or vent pipe. So this is to allow any gas to escape from the system. So when we are discharging our waste, usually this pipe not only comes with water but also comes with gas. So a vent pipe will allow the gas to escape from the system instead of causing a rebound of the water. So you don't want your waste to shoot up back from instead of flushing it down. So a vent pipe will actually helps to allow the gas to escape and not cause a back discharge of the water. And then we have a anti-siphon pipe. So this is to block the fluid from flowing backwards and prevent a loss of track of the water seal. So these 2 type of pipe is very important. You won't be able to see. So usually you won't be able to see all these 4 types of pipe in a house. So for your assignment, I don't expect you to go and find where the pipe is because you will not be able to find it. So our house is designed in such a way that we want to conceal all these ugly pipe. So all this ugly pipe is not very nice to look at aesthetically. So that's why you will not be able to find it in your house or in any shopping mall. So just find any picture that you can online and select the most appropriate system and piping and just describe your assignment. So you will not be able to find most of the building services in your house. So just go and you can assume and then get the picture from the internet and then just state their function. Okay, so this is the system, the basic system for your sanitary. So that comes along, you have our pipe system lah, of how the pipe can be installed to collect all the waste and discharge from the sanitary appliances at each floor and to direct them to the external underground sewage system. So here we have three types of stack system which can be used in our sanitary system. So this is the piping system that can be installed in either your house or office building or maybe a stadium. So first one is the single stack system. So let's have a look at this. So this is a single stack system. So you're able to notice that you have a single pipe and then all your sanitary appliances is connected to this single pipe. So this means that all your soil waste and also your normal waste from your basin and bidet will be directed into a single pipe. So your normal waste, normal discharge and your waste discharge, human discharge is all in a single pipe. So this single stack system is where you usually find in a house. So because you are only using a single pipe, you will not be able to have a too big of a gap between your WC and your basin. So this pipe is usually where you find this type of system is usually what you will find in a normal landed house. So if you were to stay in a normal landed house, let's say if you have another, it is a double story, you have another floor. If you can go and have a look, usually your toilet on your ground floor and your first floor is on the same location, and you have a one straight line going down the middle of your house. So this is a single stack system So the idea behind it is you don't have to have multiple pipe. So if you have multiple pipe, it will cost money So you want to have just a single pipe, and then all your appliances you want to be in a single small row, so that you'll be able to easily divert all this piping into this main piping. So once all the waste is going into this main piping, you usually go to the more and more pipe to the sewage treatment plant. Okay, the second one you have is the one pipe system. So in a one pipe system, you have you can have a WC and a basin. So this is usually for high rise or school So all the soil and wastewater enter a single stack pipe, but a separate ventilation pipe is used. So here, although it shows there's two pipe, but all this waste is still entering this pipe on the left. But we are installing a vent pipe on the right. So this is to accommodate a medium load So the first one, the single step, you have all the pipe, all the waste going into the pipe, but you don't have an air vent. But for this one pipe system, you have two pipe. One pipe is for air vent, which you can see here. There's additional pipe coming from the WC and also your basin to connect to the next pipe to it, and then you have the discharge into the other pipe. So this system is used where there are large number of sanitary appliances in range. So with the air vent and with these two pipe, one is air vent and one is discharge, you will be able to ensure that the pipe, there won't be any blockage on the pipe. That's why you want to have an air vent. Okay, so next you want to have a two pipe system. So instead of having everything close together like the one pipe system, if you need if you need to have your WC and your basin to be far apart, then you need to utilize this two pipe system. So this two pipe system, instead of having like this, where the sanitary appliances still need to be close by to connect to the piping system, if you have two pipe system, you'll actually be able to allow your WC and also your basin to be far apart from each other. So this system is actually more expensive to install lah, and because you are putting in more and more pipe, you actually look more unsightly and takes up extra space. So the idea behind this is this system is suitable when soil fitting are located far away from waste fitting. So your soil fitting is your WC and urinal, and your waste is your basin and bath sink. So you have a comparison on these three systems. So the first system, the single stack system, has the advantages of requiring only one single stack pipe. So because it requires only one single stack pipe, this is cheaper lah to install. But because it's only one pipe, ventilation is less efficient. So if you were to have a very high discharge, or you connect a lot of sanitary appliances to this system, because of the ventilation being less efficient, if you were to discharge a lot down the pipeline or down this piping system, you will actually choke the system. So if you require a higher discharge of waste, you want to adopt different system lah. So this is for your assignment. Okay, so next is your one pipe system. So you have less possibility of choking, but you require pipeline for vent pipes. And then you have your two pipe system. So you will provide more efficient drainage because you're separating your soil and waste discharge. But because you're providing more pipeline, you require more maintenance, and this extra pipe will take up space lah. So common sanitary pipe size you have as below, usually 20, 25, 32. So for your minor pipeline, you can find that for your WC or your basin to the main pipeline, usually you can find maybe 20 to 25 mm for this discharge. And then when you go towards your main pipeline, let's say for your this pipe system, so this will definitely be bigger lah. It can be up to 150 to 200 mm diameter. So to accommodate for all the piping going into this pipe. So this is a figure or picture to show you the basin, different type of basin, and WC. So you'll be able to see a cross section of your WC based on this picture. Okay, so when you go to outdoor sanitary discharge pipe system, so this is already out of your unit lah. You have a separate system, and we have a combined system, and then we have a partial separate system. So there's three systems to it. So the first system, which is a separate system, we are actually separating sewer from stormwater and sanitary sewage. So all your stormwater, instead of it being directed into a single pipe, we are actually separating it into two pipes, which is one for stormwater, which is rainwater, and another one for our human waste. So the road will contain two sewer, one for surface and another for foul water. So stormwater is clean. We don't have to do any treatment on it lah, and it can be just discharged out to the river and sea, or even catch by any grass or any field area as a catchment area. So the problem with this is that the cost of building a double system is higher, because when you have two pipe instead of one pipe, definitely it will be more expensive lah. But by building two piping, so instead of mixing your surface water or your rainwater with the foul water, you don't have to build a even bigger capacity sewage treatment plant. So you save money on your sewage treatment plant lah, on the volume and cost of it. So if you are to combine your rainwater and your foul water into a single pipe, you are actually putting a very high load onto your sewage treatment plant. Because this, if you were to do it this way, then you have to consider a lot of area. You have to consider the extra water being directed from the rain to the sewage treatment plant. So we do not do that lah. So we do not combine them together lah. So the second system is a combined system. So stormwater share the same drain and sewer as foul water. So you only have one piping. So in this case, stormwater surge can overburden the sewage treatment plant. Although this system is cheaper, you will not want to do that, and also simpler, you do not want to do that lah, because you are actually causing a sudden surge to the sewage treatment plant due to rain. So it will cause a high volume and cost for the sewage treatment plant. So this sort of system is not recommended lah. We will usually want to go for this system, separate system or a partial system. Okay, so for a partial system, we are still separating the rain and surface water, but some rainwater is still connected to the foul water discharge. So we are still saving some money lah, as opposed to the combined system. We are able to save on drainage costs when compared to separate system. Rainwater will also flush the foul water pipe. So this is to help clean up your piping lah. So in Malaysia, most housing estate in Malaysia practice the separate system. So our incoming water main is at the front of the house. Sewer pipe and manhole are at the back lane, and then we have a drain to collect the surface and rainwater along the perimeter of the building at the road. So combined system is definitely not suitable in Malaysia because we have very high rainfall. So high rainfall equate to a lot of rainwater. So a lot of rainwater, if you were to pump it into our sewage treatment plant, then it will definitely cause the sewage treatment plant to fail lah. So there's a few points to consider when you are designing external sewerage or on selecting the external sewerage. You always want to keep the layout simple. So we don't want to have a lot of bend, and if you have direct bend, it should be minimal. Manhole should be kept to a minimum. So we do not want to have a lot of bend. Usually when we have bend, we want to install manhole. So when there's a bend and we want to install manhole, this is because it is usually where these bend are at, where the sewage will have a blockage. So manhole need to be installed. So pipe should be laid in straight line, and then you want to have manhole to access the system to inspect and clean, and pipe is to be laid in a self-cleansing gradient. So you need to have sufficient inclination. So from point A to point B, the pipe needs to be slanted so that they'll be able to flow properly. And they also need to be buried at least 900 mm below the road or 600 mm below field and garden. So this is some sort of like a requirement lah. So it may differ from local council, from different city, but the standard is around there lah. So 900 mm for road and 600 mm for field, so that people do not accidentally pick it up. And then you do not want to have your pipe passing through underneath a building and not close to the building foundation. So your sewage piping, it should never pass through underneath a building lah. You want it to be under the road or next to the road. So if you were to have it under a building, you will not be able to do any maintenance because you won't be finding any manhole in a building lah. They will not allow you to build a manhole in a building. So that's why your pipe should not pass underneath a building. So if your pipe were to pass underneath a building and you have a blockage, then if you want to clear the blockage, it will be very difficult lah. So next, pipe should not pass near trees. So trees, they have roots. So because trees have roots and this pipe, they are carrying waste of fertilizer, which is very good for the tree. So this is very good for the tree lah. So the roots of the tree, they will be actually able to sense this wastewater or this fertilizer lah. So if you were to build our pipe near the tree, then the roots will try to grow towards it, and then they will try to destroy the pipe lah to get all this good stuff inside the pipe. So which is not good for us lah, because once the root go near the pipe, they will start to try to penetrate into the pipe and cause all the waste to just flow out from the pipe. And then we want to use next is the material of the piping lah. We want to use a non-absorbent, durable, smooth in bore, and of adequate strength piping. So smooth in bore is that the surface of the pipe inside is smooth lah. And then when possible, flexible joint are to be used. So you want to ensure that there's no problem with the piping lah. So that's why if we are using joint, we want to use flexible joint. So why we want to use a flexible joint? Because water, when it is flowing, they have some sort of a impact. So when you have a flexible joint, instead of the material absorbing all the impact, the material is able to have an allowance of movement to reduce the impact of the flow of water. So that's why, where possible, you want to use a flexible joint. Okay, so we have a few more slides, so let's finish it first, and then we can have a long break lah. Okay, next is we have our trap. So this is coming back into our internal sanitary appliances lah. So you can use it for your assignment. So there are two types of trap. The first is the water seal trap. So it traps bad smell, gas, and pests. And the second is the interceptor trap. So this trap the solid and substance. So usually it's your hair lah at the inlet to prevent it from entering the wastewater pipe. So this is your water seal trap. Usually this is where you find is at your WC. So this shape, S shape or P shape, is how the water seal trap will be formed. So in the case of a WC, whenever you flush, the new water will be trapped in place to ensure that any smell will not be coming from your sewerage and it will come out in your washroom lah. So this water seal trap is important to ensure that any wastewater does not the smell and the gas does not come out to your washroom. Okay, so give me a moment, it's up, back kicking up. Okay, so we have different type of water seal. So first we have our P trap and S trap, which is still the same, and then we have our water trap. So this is a P, this is a S, and then this is a water trap. So this P and S is what you usually find in your WC lah, and then a water trap is what you'll find in your basin. So you can remove this to take off to remove the debris in your piping. So another picture of it. So usually you want to use this S water trap for your WC, and then for your water trap, there's not much problem lah. There's not much requirement on the water seal trap lah, because usually this piping won't be affected much lah. Okay, then you have your anti-siphon trap and a gully trap. So anti-siphon trap is to ensure that there's no back siphonage. So in your piping, you want to ensure that there's additional piping to allow the water to flow back and forth. And you have your gully trap. So this is just a basin in the ground which receives pipe wastewater from kitchen, bathroom, and laundry before it's emptied into the sewer. So this is a figure of the gully trap. So usually this is located if you are living in a landed house, you'll actually be able to find it at outside your house, but you won't be able to see it because usually this will be covered. So this is a picture of the trap, and this is a picture of how a cross section of how a gully trap will be. Okay, so this is the figure of how a different type of anti-siphonage trap will be. Yeah.
Just now you were presenting.
Oh, okay. So has it been long since my screen not presenting? From what page? Okay, I think. Okay, so thank you for notifying. So let's continue. So in the video recording, it will still be there lah, because it's recording this slide. Just that you guys will miss out on your screen lah. Okay, so let's just continue. There's few more lah. So this is the anti-siphonage trap. So anti-siphonage trap will not allow the water to backflow out. So instead of it being discharged, this anti-siphonage trap will try to seal, the function will try to just have the water trapped in here lah. So we have different configuration of how this anti-siphon trap works. And then we have our interceptor trap. So this is to prevent blockage lah. So we don't want to have any grease, food, or any hair going into our piping system. So if you have all this hair or all this solid or organic or inorganic material going down the drain, then you need to have an option to remove it lah, using either a water cap, or if your piping will get blocked lah. So if your piping get blocked, due to all this organic material, if you try to flush, then definitely the water won't go down the drain and it will overflow out lah. Okay, so then finally we have our grease interceptor trap. So you won't be able to see this if you have it. So usually grease or fat, they can block pipe as they solidify on the inner wall of pipe. So this grease interceptor trap consists of a tank which can hold water in a sufficient amount to cause the washing out water to stagnate and cool any grease or fat. So you have set up like this, and then any water that is being flowed into here, you can separate out the solid and also the gas and also the grease and fat. And then to the water will flow from here, grease and fat will be up here, solid will be down here, and the water will flow from this tank from A to B through a pipe in the middle. So you'll be able to remove any grease and fat and any solid material in this interceptor trap. Then you have a few more and you'll be able to outlet a very clean water. Okay, so let's stop here lah.